In the black community, we were prepared by setting certain goals, objectives for ourselves. This was done primarily in the home, in the church, and in the school at that particular time, because schools had a heavy reinforcement into our characters because they were black schools. Schools were not integrated at that time. Do the best that you can with your life. You are unique. You have a contribution to make. You have something to offer. You have a talent. You have skills. Many, many other things that you do have. Go on out there into the world and get them. Don't stay here in Farmville. There's nothing here for you. It's a retired person's town, a little small place of this nature. But go on and develop yourself. College. If you can't go to college, take up a good skill. Skill trades were heavy then. We've moved away from that, of course, now, but in the 50s, skill trades were very heavy. Masonry, carpentry, electronics, auto mechanics, and many, many others. So we were encouraged, pardon?
Then to your lack of employment, the young people had to go away from home. Every summer,
right.
Most of the young people around here went to Atlantic City to work.
Relative to white America, we were taught that a lot of the values that came into being were set by middle class, let's say white America. In a way, we were to emulate them, because at this point we were at the very threshold of integration. Emulate them, take on many of these as much as possible, middle class values and virtues. There was a kind of inferior stigma placed on black people. But you had to look through it to see exactly where, the real truth behind it. That is a stigma of inferiority.
Baltimore City Schools reaches an alarming low in student performance.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps has learned, nearly half of high school students in Baltimore City this year earned a grade point average below a 1.
They take.
When Giovanni Patterson ran for Baltimore City Council president last year,
Yet, despite the amount of money they get, we don't see much change.
he ran on a platform that included accountability and education.
Our schools outspend 97% of other major school districts.
And when Project Baltimore showed him how Baltimore City students have been doing this year,
This is terrible.
here is how he reacted.
This is just further perpetuating the cycle of poverty, blight, despair.
This chart was assembled by Baltimore City Schools and obtained by Project Baltimore. It shows the average GPA for every high school grade in the city, freshman through senior. In the first 3 quarters of this past school year, according to the chart, 41% of all Baltimore City high school students earned below a 1.0 grade point average. In other words, nearly half of the roughly 20,600 public high school students in Baltimore earned less than a D average.
It's heartbreaking. If almost half of our kids are failing, what options do they have after high school? This is really disheartening. And it's sad to see this, man.
On the other end of this chart, 21% of city high school students earned a GPA of 3.0 or better, a B average. About half as many who earned below a D. We can also see the district lost more than 700 high school students during the first 3 quarters of this year. In January, City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises first sounded the alarm, saying the course failure rate for students had nearly doubled during the COVID shutdowns. A few months later, in May, North Avenue announced students would not be held back for failing classes. This most recent GPA data could show us why North Avenue made that decision. During the second quarter of the 2019-2020 school year, just before COVID hit, 24% of high school students had a GPA below 1. Now, it's 41%.
Go to education, they'll tell you that this is this, and this is that, and this is the history of this, and this person did this, and this person did that. And then what you should look forward to if you're going to be an educated person and all like that. And they're winking at each other all the time, the whole time they're doing it, because they know that you're going down a blind alley, and that it's nothing at the end of that alley but just a brick wall. But they'll tell you that if you do this and you do that, I will declare that you are now educated and ready to go out into the world and really do great things. Mm-hmm. But they will limit whatever information they give you, because that's what education is, knowing how to solve problems, all right? You can't consider yourself educated and you don't know how to solve a problem, all right? Education is about problem solving, because we are in a universe that's full of problems.
Yes, sir.
That have to be solved minute by minute. But the white supremacists will tell you that you are able to solve problems when you're not. Why? Because they didn't teach you how to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. They pretended that they were teaching you how to solve a problem. We'll slowly begin to get wise to that, but very slow.
Yes, sir.
And then entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, the same thing.
The following pages present suggestions that pertain to what a victim of racism should or should not choose to do in the second major area of people activity. Each person should choose to speak and or act according to one or more of the suggestions presented, but only if he or she decides to do so. No person should speak and or act according to any suggestion presented herein unless he or she has judged that the suggestion chosen is of current or correct value in helping to eliminate racism, white supremacy, and or in helping to better produce justice. It is important to note and understand that one or more suggestions selected from the major area of people activity should be used in constructive combination with one or more suggestions selected from other major areas of people activity. If an individual person chooses to utilize any suggestion presented herein, he or she should do better in a manner and at a specific time and at a specific place that will produce the most constructive results in the revelation of truth and or the production of justice and or correctness. Welcome back. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward. Happy Monday. And once again, we are reviewing Neely Fuller's landmark book, The Compensatory Code, or the full title is The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter-racist code, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, white supremacy. And last video, we completed the review of Area 1, which was economics. Now we are going through Area 2, which is education. And I read from pages 101 to 118, and that is the complete chapter of, or that is the complete area of education, Area 2, from pages 101 to 118. So make sure you have completed your reading. If not, go ahead and complete your reading. So let's dive back into it. We're talking about education and what we're going to learn about it. So non-white people, however, do not consolidate, constructively utilize, or efficiently exchange the variety of things that they learn from time to time. They do not record and store what they learn. They allow what they learn to filter away. They do not pass on constructive information willingly, deliberately, constantly, and efficiently to those who need it most. This is one of the reasons much of what non-white people once knew has been lost or forgotten. And that is true. Information that we used in the past to live, to survive, to thrive has not truly been passed on. And we know it's not because we still have generations of black people, as we say, still getting it out the mud. And if you are still getting it out the mud, that's because you don't have any other resources or information to help you. You didn't have anything that was passed down to you that was of use to you. So now you got to start from the bottom. Like Drake said, what, start from the bottom, now we here? That's a motto in Black America. We make that a badge of honor that we have to continuously start from the bottom. That's not a good thing. That means information is not being passed on and education is not being utilized properly. Like he said in the clip, education should be used to solve problems. Nearly all of the knowledge that non-white people receive while existing among or in contact with white people has been presented to them by white supremacists for the purpose of serving white supremacy. And that is true because we can see that if you go through an educational institution, whether it's an HBCU or PWI, especially at a collegiate level, you will be prepared to live, eat, sleep, work, and operate and think in a white world. You won't be really prepared to exist in any other realm but a white world. And you saw the gentleman in the first clip talking about how an inferiority complex was placed upon Black people, and the idea that you must become like white people to be successful because whiteness is success. Think about it. It is correct for all victims of white supremacy to know and understand all that the white supremacists teach, as well as why they teach what they teach. It is correct for all victims of white supremacy to know and understand that the white supremacists to know and understand all that the white supremacists know and understand. Let me read that again. It is correct for all the victims of white supremacy to know and understand all that the white supremacists know and understand. Knowledge is neutral. It is how knowledge is used and for what purpose it is used that produces its value. How is knowledge used? Applied knowledge is power, not just collecting knowledge. Applied knowledge is power. How are you using the information that you have to better your situation? Try to learn something about everything. Take an interest in everything that happens and in everything that exists in the universe. And that's key, because I run into a lot of people who are not interested in history. A lot of Black people who are not interested in history. And it's cool for history to not be your favorite subject to learn. But I do agree that we should know a little bit or as much as we can about everything. As much as we can. We should know as much as we can about this as much as we can. I'm going to say it like that. Anything you can get your hands on, anything new you can learn, anything that is of constructive value, you should do your best to learn and learn the information, and then learn how to utilize that information to help better your situation. Don't be the person who is stubborn to learn things just because you don't like it. Get out of your feelings and get more into a practical mindset of how do we use this information to better our system, or to better yet, to get from up under the thumb of white supremacy. Being stupid is better than being smart, but only if one enjoys being stupid, which is also stupid. That's a quote they has, and I'm reading it again. Being stupid is better than being smart, but only if one enjoys being stupid, which is also stupid. So it's not really better than being smart. Do your best to make available to young people all of the most constructive information that you have acquired and that you seek to acquire. That's big. Once again, a lot of information has not been passed down. It has not. It has been gathered and kept by older generations, and the generations under that, it's almost as if you have to pry it out of them. It's hard to connect with some elders to get the information that you need. My hat goes off, and I thank all of the elders who are easily accessible or who are willing and ready to give information. Those are the real heroes. But there are too many elders who are holding on to information and don't want to give the information. And that's not good, because you have a lot of young people who are starving for the information, who need this information. Give up the information, give up the constructive information to teach the young people how to use it, and teach them the wins and the losses, and teach them how to avoid the losses. So here's an explanation for it, and I'm going to read it again. Do your best to make available to young people all of the most constructive information that you have acquired and that you seek to acquire. When speaking with young people and older people, tell them everything that you know that is of constructive value. Do not tell them anything or give them anything that does not serve a constructive purpose. Acquiring information is a constructive way of using the time and energy by any person of any age. Very young people are usually very curious, which is true. Most people at an early age like to explore. Therefore, it is correct that they have available to them many things that will interest them, that are likely to have the most constructive effect in the way that they think, speak, and act. Tell them the truth and tell them it in such a manner that they can understand it. Do not be coddling our feelings. Give it to us straight. Give it to us straight. Give it to us raw. We need the truth. generations, the further the generations go, the softer we get, the more emotional we get, the more entitled we get. We forgot what it's like to have to earn what you want. Same thing like freedom. We don't want to earn a job, but we want to earn freedom. How that work? If you don't have it, you don't have it. If you don't have a will, if you don't have gusto, you don't have guts, you ain't talking about nothing. Give us the information and give us the truth. Tell us about the ups and downs. Tell it all. We need to know. We need to learn. And we need to do the same thing. My generation, we need to be doing the same thing. We are the adults now. We the parents now. We need to be doing the same thing. We need to be reaching back, giving to the young people as much information as possible. I'm blessed to be here in Tallahassee with 2 universities, a community college, and a lot of technical schools. So I come in contact with a lot of young people, and I get to give back all the time. It's one of my most favorite things to do, is to get around young people and teach. We have to give back. It is our obligation to learn as much as we can and teach the younger people. Don't just teach them the information, teach them how to use the information. And if you don't know how to use the information, then you're not ready to teach. And you should be using the information that you have so you can teach the younger people. Tell them that you currently have little power or anyone or anything. Tell them that you currently have little power over anyone or anything other than the power to appear to have power, and that power is granted or promoted by the white racists. Got to be real. We got to be real. A lot of people don't like to hear, but we got to be real. They have the power. If we don't like it, we got to seize the power. Tell them that in order to be a parent and exercise parental authority, you must be able to protect all of your offspring from the dictates of the racists and from the injustice that is the essence of that dictatorship. Tell them that since you have so far failed to provide this protection, that you have not so far earned the title of parent or the function of being regarded as a parental authority. Tell them that you can try to work in partnership with them to try to overcome the awesome and very real power that the racists have over your existence and theirs. Don't hold back nothing. Don't sugarcoat nothing. Don't try to make yourself feel good. Don't try to make them feel good. Tell the truth. White people are still in control because we refuse to get our shit together. Tell them that the best way to do this is to do all that you can do to produce the will and seek and find truth and use truth in such a manner to produce justice and correctness. Tell them that the production of justice and correctness should only be the Let me read that again. Tell them that the production of justice and correctness should be the only reason for the existence of any people, white and non-white, male and female, parents and children. The production of justice. If we ain't out here trying to produce justice, we ain't out here trying to get from up under this thumb of white supremacy in the system, we ain't talking about nothing. Don't be the person that's out there talking about you against racism, but you ain't doing nothing to fight it. That's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing to fight this racism. Everyday thing in all areas of human activity. Pick your area and get to fighting. Take special care to teach only that which will produce the most constructive results. And here's the explanation. That which is taught, what, how, and why is important. What is taught, how it is taught, and why it is taught will influence the relationship between people, places, creatures, and things. The quality or non-quality of the relationship between white people and non-white people will be the result of what white people and non-white people are taught. As long as white supremacy exists, glorification of any people will result in a non-quality or destructive series of interactions between individual persons, both white and non-white. To glorify, praise, or glamorize the deeds of any person as long as white supremacy racism exists is to promote the maintenance, expansion, and refinement of white supremacy and the mistreatment of people in general. What people do, have done, should be stated as facts. These facts should be stated as briefly as is necessary to produce understanding. What should always be taught and understood is that people have not yet produced justice and made a serious attempt to do so. Justice exists only if there is a guarantee that no person is mistreated, and they guarantee that the person who needs help the most gets the most constructive help. This is the basic initial reason for teaching people anything about people that pertains to interactions between people. In addition, it is incorrect to teach or to use anything learned in a manner that results in any form of bragging about a person. People should always be thankful for the few things that they try to do to produce justice or correctness. Basically, if you are bragging about a person's achievements and the things that they're doing, but the things that you're bragging about have nothing to do with producing justice and correctness and ending white supremacy, according to Neely Fuller, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting the brag on the person. And there's really nothing to brag about because the system of white supremacy is still existing, and